I think a lot of people have always said to me, oh, just wait. When you have a kid, you have a baby, you're not going to travel like the way that you have before, and you're not going to travel anymore. You're going to be stuck at home. And there's funny stories. There's always the typical diaper blowout, on the plane and everything. But I think that traveling with children is wonderful, and I really want to show my son that the world is a beautiful, amazing place, and he can see it if he puts the effort in.
Life gets easier if we figure it out together. Welcome to The Lisa Show.
So this is one of our family's favorite memories. My dad, when I was in high school, he worked for a commercial airline, and he started flying to Honolulu on a regular basis. And we wanted to take the whole family out there because he had talked about how beautiful and wonderful it was. And we wanted to do it on the cheap. So my parents got this idea that they were going to take us camping in Hawaii. And so one of the things about it that you couldn't get a camping spot by calling in. You had to go in person to sign up for the camping spot, which made it so that tourists didn't have as much of a chance. They wanted to keep it more for the locals. So he was really sneaky because he was flying out there almost every week. And so he went and signed up for a camping spot. And so we were so excited. We did it over our spring break, and we packed up all of our camping gear and put it on the airplane. And we got out there, and it was raining on the first day. And we were like, okay, this is cool. We can handle this. But it progressed to getting worse and worse throughout the week. And by the end of the week, I actually Googled this because I was curious about it. And I found articles about this particular year that the flooding was so bad, they had to close down the PCC, and BYU Hawaii campus was closed down, and 2/3 of Laie was under 1 to 3 feet of water. So this wasn't the beautiful paradise that my dad had described it to be. And we were just having such a miserable time. But on the end of the week, when we needed to get back home, we knew that we couldn't just go on the airplane like we were. So we decided, okay, this last night we were going to stay in a hotel and get all cleaned up. So we packed up all our stuff into our car, and we went to the Turtle Bay Hilton, which was the closest hotel there. And we pulled up to the hotel, and I'll never forget all the beautiful brass luggage carts and the bellhops and the people in their perfect clothing and their jewelry and everything. And here we were. We looked like a bunch of drowned rats who'd just been washed up on the shore from a shipwreck or something. And we went up to our hotel room with everybody staring at us, and we all cleaned up, and there was like a sandbar in the tub from everyone just washing off all that awful sand. And the next morning, the sun was coming out, and there were sunbeams flowing down over the pineapple fields on our drive back to the airport. And we just thought, why is it beautiful now? But we think it was the gods of the island being angry with us for signing up for the camping spot, which was supposed to be for the locals only.
That was our listener, Rachel, explaining a situation that a lot of us find ourselves in families. We want to make our vacations fun and meaningful with our kids, but things inevitably go wrong, right? There are stresses. I mean, vacations are supposed to be relaxing and a time for decompressing, and we know that we don't have control over how our kids are going to act or what's going to happen along the way. And so we sort of brace ourselves. And sometimes a vacation with our family can seem more like a trip in order to create memories instead of a vacation. It can seem like such a stress and a hassle as we're planning a vacation with kids. It's almost like we're bracing ourselves for whatever can come next. And we want these kinds of experiences with our kids to be fun and meaningful. And we also know that things go wrong and there's going to be stress inevitably. So when we're with our kids and we take them on vacation, how can we make it worth it? Now, I grew up counting driving from Nebraska to Utah for a couple of weeks in the summer to visit my cousins, a quote-unquote vacation. So my 5 brothers and sisters and I would pile into the wood-paneled station wagon, and our mom would feed us yogurt-covered raisins. Do you remember those? And carrot sticks. And we would beg our dad to stop at the gas station and get a candy bar and a soda, a rare privilege that was only reserved for this kind of drive. And we entertained ourselves by getting the attention of semi-truck drivers to honk their horns. We'd play license plate games, and there was a lot of talk about the whooping cranes, which find their home on the Nebraska plains. I tuned out most of that part, but I just know that they were talked about a lot. Our attention was to the Great Plains of Nebraska to look a lot. Now, our family vacation meant sleeping over at grandma's, playing with cousins, sleeping on the trampoline at my cousin Gretchen's, or making homemade raspberry ice cream with Aunt Vicky, and getting together with literally 100 people who all lived near each other, except for us, the cousins from the Midwest. Now, when I had a young family of my own, my husband and I had to negotiate what family vacations meant. And this is something that I think it was kind of a surprise, right, in a marriage. Like, you just come with your idea of what a vacation meant, and then you have to negotiate it with somebody else. Now, for him, having a fun family vacation meant piling kids in the car, so that was similar, but going to the beach, and it's just your family. Going to a Dodger game or amusement parks and diners, it was piling in, together in a condo, sleeping in a big pile with the windows open to catch the sound and the waves of the beach. Now, we both had our own experiences that really defined what a vacation meant. The outcome was the same. We just had some great memories, and we both wanted to prioritize family vacations as a really important bonding or fun way to connect with our family. But in those early days, even as poor graduate students with, not a lot of money, but a lot of energy, we thought we could accomplish this just on the cheap. And that just establishing the tradition of going on a family vacation every year was the important thing. So I did the budget, and so I was always stressed about money. Always. And Chris was in charge of the itinerary. So he stressed about making it on time. We got to hit this city by this time for lunch or a diaper change or whatever it was going to be for the kids. And that was a perfect combination for us. But for what happened 3 years in a row in those early years, we weren't prepared for. So every time we had prepared and thought ahead and planned our little budget and our itinerary and got into our little beat up Nissan Altima and got it all checked for the big trip, inevitably 3 years in a row, it just became the family joke. We'd get a flat tire just a couple of miles away from home. And it was so frustrating for me because that totally blew off the budget, right? Oh, we got to buy a new tire, a lot of times a couple of tires. We got to pay for a tow truck, all that kind of stuff. And for Chris, it totally blew the itinerary. We'll never make it to the hotel on time. We'll never be able to. The kids are going to be cranky. We had everything timed so they could sleep while we were in the car. It just threw everything off the books, right? And we were at the mercy of the tow truck. We were at the mercy of whoever was near. Everything just kind of, went haywire. And, the first year it happened, we sort of brushed it off well, yeah, accidents happen. Okay, nobody's fault. Okay, keep it together. The second year we were isn't this exactly what happened to us last year? And then the third year we were really back to mad, really mad. Are we cursed? What is the deal with this? But something happened that third year in a row. It felt like those first couple of years that we were wasting time, right, on the side of the road, entertaining our, at that time, 2 toddler boys. And we'd have to go find a diner. And is it safe to walk along the pathway? Do we wait for somebody to stop? Or, do we go to a place that's family friendly so they can run around? All these decisions to be made. But it was, whether we wanted to think about it or not, and to be clear, we did not want to think about it like this. We were already on vacation. We weren't waiting and delaying our vacation and creating fun and meaningful memories and bonding together, it was already happening at the side of the road, entertaining the kids. And now I look back at those pictures, and there's this one picture of one of the kids. Chris had put him on top of the car just to sit and wait. And I'm holding one of the boys, and there's like a state trooper taking a picture with us by the side of the road. I was like, oh, hey, you guys need some help? And I look at that picture and I look at those cute little toddler faces, and I do have good memories now looking back of thinking of the songs that we sang and the ways that we distracted them, the eye rolling for the whole situation that my husband and I shared. Those kinds of memories, that kind of real life makes the kind of vacation fun and meaningful. And now, obviously, fast forward, my kids are some adults and some teenagers, and I just don't get stressed out so much about the details, because once we've decided, hey, we're going on vacation, it just starts then. Okay, so picture this. I think a lot of families can relate to this particular scenario. You're going on vacation, so you've saved up. This may be the trip, right, of your kid's childhood. It might not be an every year kind of thing, and you've planned out all the details. The itinerary is in place. You've thought ahead about everything that you can, and you've anticipated it. You're really excited, because the reason why we have vacations, ideally, is to bring our families together and create fun memories. And so we put a lot of pressure on it. So you actually get there and something goes wrong. And it could be a myriad of things. But in that moment, what do you do? Is when something goes wrong, how do you decide where to pivot, what to pivot, how to change it, how to salvage it, or do you just sort of give up and let it happen and hold on for dear life until it's all over? I'll never forget an experience that I had going at Disneyland and overhearing a couple say, "We just have to get through the day," and just laughing so hard at this poor family's stressful moment in the middle of their trip, their vacation, because they just were going to grin and bear it and get through. So how can we make our vacations, our trips, a little bit more meaningful? Because we know something's always going to happen. Well, that's why freelance travel writer Lori Zaino is here to give us some tips about making the next vacation a really great and meaningful, fun one. So how do we make our trips more meaningful?
Well, that's a very loaded question.
Yeah.
There's a lot of pieces that can go into this equation. But I know you mentioned, planning this big trip and having everything down to the littlest detail organized, and then something goes wrong. Something is going to go wrong, no matter how well you have planned your trip. So I think the first thing to start is reminding yourselves that things will go wrong, and that's okay. And sometimes those things can make your trip even better. Maybe they won't, but you'll still get through it, like the couple in Disney World. But I think it's using these small moments or these things that don't go well as sort of stepping stones to creating a bit of spontaneity into your trip that you might have not planned that in.
Okay, I think that in our best moments, that's what we hope that we'll do. Do you have an example of how you actually made that happen that we could all learn from?
Well, an example, and this also leads to another example of what you can do when things don't quite go as planned. But I was in Peru on a 2-month backpacking trip with my now husband. And we had our first 2 days in Lima. We were super excited to sort of embark on the big journey. Lima was just a stepping stone. And we get there, we have our 12-hour flight over from Europe, and our next flight, which is going to Arequipa, which is a little town down in the south of Peru, where we're really going to start getting into all the fun stuff. our flight was canceled due to a volcanic eruption.
Oh, wow. That's a little snag.
Yeah, just a small detail. And so, obviously our whole trip was organized, these 2 days and then those 4 days. And it was kind of like this one thing was going to sort of mess everything up if we didn't get there on time. And so we ended up, though, they gave us a hotel overnight, and we got to the hotel with this busload of very angry, cranky passengers that all wanted to get on the plane. And when I got up to the hotel desk, they were very frazzled. People were not being very nice to them. And I said, you know what? I'm going to go have a drink at the bar. How about I come back in 30 minutes, and then you can give me my room key. I see you guys are working really hard. You're very busy here. Maybe, we could just give you a little space. I mean, I'm not going to make this go any faster by standing at the desk hounding you.
Right.
And this woman just looked at me and she said, that would be wonderful. So I went and they actually comped me a glass of wine or something there, I remember. And then when I got back, the woman said, thank you so much for your patience. This has been really stressful. And we ended up getting, I didn't know, she just handed me the room key. We ended up getting the presidential suite in the hotel and having this wonderful, unexpected luxury when we were going to be backpacking for a few months, doing everything on the cheap. And so this was this really exciting moment. And we ended up flying the next morning and everything worked out. But we had this luxurious suite all to ourselves and it all worked out. And I also think that in these moments, just being nice and trying to be understanding can really turn things around for yourself, for your own attitude. I just ended up having a very nice evening. Instead of arguing with airline staff or hotel staff, I just had a nice glass of wine. And then everything worked out okay. So I think in these moments, sometimes just being kind and being easy on yourself, easy on your family, easy on everyone around you, it can end up coming back to you in unexpectedly exciting ways.
I appreciate you sharing that specific example because in my mind, it also illustrates the kind of, reasons why we travel, right? To connect with other people, to see the world in a different place, to get outside of our comfort zones. And, having that kind of connection is not something that you necessarily are aware of every day. And it does make it a sort of a special occasion.
And I think right now, because of everything that everyone has gone through with COVID, maybe people are putting a lot of pressure on travel, the next big trip, because we haven't had a family vacation in 2 years or 1 year.
Oh, yeah.
Or, this is my kid's first trip, or this is the first time that we've gotten on a plane since all of these things have happened. And so I would encourage people to not maybe put so much pressure on it or be lighthearted about the pressure. This is going to be a great trip, but if something goes wrong, that's okay too. And maybe if you have family, if you have kids, trying to explain to them, when these things do go wrong, how that they can look at it another way. We all know kids get cranky when, long airport waits, just like adults do. And so this is a great time to also set an example for your kids or your family and try to get everyone to not be so upset if things don't go quite as planned.
Yeah. And easier said than done, right? But what a great reminder as you're beginning to embark on that or think about it. And you recently had a child, I understand. And how has that changed your travels and your travel writing?
Well, I think a lot of people have always said to me, oh, just wait. When you have a kid, you have a baby, you're not going to travel like the way that you have before, and you're not going to travel anymore. You're going to be stuck at home. And I think I kind of just wanted to prove everyone wrong. So I think the most important thing to think about if you traveled a lot before you had a child or a family and you are traveling now is just to travel a little bit differently, I guess. So I have adapted. I go a lot more slowly with the baby in tow. There's a lot more things to bring. I can't really just hop on with my backpack anymore. There's a lot more stuff to think about. And I also decided I have to give myself a day before and a day after for packing days and recovery days and just getting the whole family sort of settled in, settled out, all of the things. I can't go at the same lightning speed as before. But I do think it's important to remember that it is possible to travel when you have kids, you can do it cheaply. There are ways and there are tips and tricks that you can. And it's been actually really fun to share the things that I've been learning about traveling now as a new mom with, people that are reading my articles. And there's funny story, there's always the typical diaper blowout, on the plane and everything. But I think that traveling with children is wonderful. And I really want to show my son that the world is a beautiful, amazing place, and he can see it if he puts the effort in. So that's what I'm hoping to impart off to him as we all travel together as a family.
I do think that most parents want that experience for their kids, to see the world in a different way from their little corner of it. And so there's a lot of value to traveling. And I think that's why we put a lot of pressure on it. And so I would love it if you would share with us maybe some of your best tips for making it more affordable. I think that's what is on everyone's mind right now, with gas prices increasing and travel costs through the roof, and is still being able to see the value of it. How can we save money and still sort of have a meaningful or a fun vacation?
I think there are a lot of things you can do, and right now it's really important to do them because it's true. Travel is really expensive right now. If anyone is planning a summer trip, you probably noticed, obviously gas prices, car rental prices, flights, things are through the roof for a number of reasons, and being able to get somewhere affordably is really important, especially right now. And I think one of the things, the first tip I would suggest is being as flexible as you can. So if you are able to pick any week out of the summer to have your summer vacation, which I know is not a luxury that everyone has, but if you are able to be flexible with dates, really just sitting down and searching, Google Flights, all of these kind of search tools that we have online, and messing around with the dates. It does take time, but it might pay off in the long run, traveling, on days, maybe on Mondays or Wednesdays and not Fridays for weekend trips. Trying to mess around with your dates can really help you find a cheaper price. And I would also suggest really starting to look into what you already have. If you have any frequent flyer miles, if you have any hotel points, these are the time when using those can be really valuable, because I always say the best time when you get your best value from these things is when the actual prices and costs are really expensive. So if you are sitting on a pile of American Airlines miles or Marriott points, this is the time to really dig in and figure out how to use them. There are a lot of resources on the internet if you're not sure how to use them. I know it can be a deterrent not knowing exactly how to utilize them, but there's a lot you can read up, and you can always open credit cards too that will help you earn points and miles if you don't have any. And you can even research exactly if you have a destination in mind that you want to go to, and you can open a credit card that can really help get you there. So for example, I live in Spain, and when my family wants to come and see me, I always suggest that they open credit cards that can earn them Iberia, Avios, or points that will transfer to that program, because Iberia is Spain's largest airline. So you can start off with that. If you want to go to Germany, if you want to go to Mexico, figure out what airlines go there and try and open up a credit card that can get you some points that can help make that trip more affordable for you and your family.
Some great trips. Because of your extensive travel, I do need to ask you, of all of the places that you've been and the trips that you've been on, what is the biggest value for you? What are the biggest lessons that you've learned from traveling?
Well, flexibility is one of them, as we previously talked about. Trying to let go of the control. When you make a plan and you have your 2 weeks of vacation every year, it can be really hard if things don't go your way, or if you have to lose a few of those days because of a flight cancellation or someone gets sick. And so I think just learning how to be flexible, how to turn lemons into lemonade is a really great thing that travel has taught me. It's also, as a female who loves to travel alone as well as with my family, it's helped me be more independent and stronger and see the world in a different way. I think when you're forced to deal with situations by yourself, it's completely different than when you have, supportive family and friends around. So it's definitely made me more independent and stronger. There are so many lessons too that you can learn. I think seeing areas of the world that don't quite operate the way America does or Europe does, and seeing these types of places can really show you what's important in life and what you really need and what you don't need, and it's helped me really see the world in a different way.
When you really want to get to the bottom of something, you ask people who know, who have seen things, who have been there. And we do that on the Lisa Show with the Council of Moms. It's my favorite thing in the whole world. And here today we have...
Hi, my name is Julie Suazo. I am a mother of 4 and almost to be 5, which is an unfortunate surprise in your 40s. So that's my gift to your motherhood today.
I love it.
I'm Morag Kawasaki. I am a mother of 2 lovely girls, 15 and 9 years old. And yeah, I'm a mom.
I love it.
I'm Annie Johnson. I'm a mother of 3, 2 boys and a girl, and 2 dogs.
Yes.
Can't forget them.
Can't forget them. They get to be babied, too.
They make everything a little more crazy.
Yeah. Just add to the chaos. Yeah. Well, speaking about chaos, today I wanted to talk about how you really make vacations meaningful and fun for your kids. And it seems like a tall order. So let's just start off with, where do you even start when you are thinking, okay, we're going on a vacation? Where does your mind go?
Usually Disneyland, right?
Well, it seems like, all the fun is built in.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of like you don't have to be creative because Disneyland does it for you, right?
Outsourcing that. The fun. But it's expensive.
It is very expensive, so that's why you can't do it very often.
My mind always goes to the car ride because that's where we spend the bulk of the time, I feel like. And I've done a lot of car trips with my kids. So I'm like, okay, do we do screens on this trip or do we try to do screen-free? Or do we go early in the morning so everyone sleeps for half the trip? Or do we try to tough it out and make everyone awake?
What's your usual answer?
Early in the morning.
Yeah. How do you decide?
For what time we leave?
Yeah.
Because I feel like it's easier to start in the dark and then you have half of the day left when you arrive because we're always driving to Arizona, though we've driven from Texas to Utah a few times. But I feel like it makes for a more peaceful drive.
Yeah, sharing the peace together as a family is a really great way. You want them to have good memories.
Right.
And so when you think about vacations, and do you just automatically think about where you're going to go or what you want the experience to be like?
I think about what can be outsourced.
Really?
Yeah, I hand over reservations to my sister, who's incredible at this stuff. She finds the deals. And I'm like, okay, so where's a good place to go according to the deals? Let me know.
Really?
Yeah, 100%. She's so great at it. I think, can I hop on your family vacation? Who can we join?
Do you?
Yeah, I go with a sister to Vegas and share the cost of an Airbnb and so I've gone to Vegas with her. We did South Dakota for spring break, which was a somewhat terrible mistake.
Oh,
it was very cold.
Do tell. What happened?
Well, if spring break, you should be in Hawaii or somewhere tropical. Instead, we chose the mountainous regions of South Dakota, which was risky, and it was windy, and it was cold. Man. But it was fun. I mean, we did this great adventure, and you're able to get a little bit of a bigger house because we went together. So we had this big lodge and really cool things. So yeah, I outsource all. I'm terrible at that stuff.
No, you're smart.
Yeah, no, I can scan the internet for 100 hours, what to see. It's South Dakota. I also found a really great app that was really super helpful. So there's
what is that?
There's one that's called Gypsy app. So if you really want to do outdoorsy stuff, we went to Yellowstone. And I was like, I'm not a hiker. What the heck do we see at Yellowstone? But it's epic. You need to go to Yellowstone with your kids. So somebody was like, do Gypsy app. And you download it, and then along the route, this man will tell you the things to see, where to go. He's like, there's a hike off to the edge. It's a 3-mile one. See if you're prepared. I'm like, I'm not prepared. Perfect. I'm not turning that way.
Thanks for the warning, dude.
But then they'll tell you, these are a really cool site here. So I downloaded it. It had another one I could purchase for South Dakota. So we did that. And he told us all about the Badlands. I was like, this is a great way to do national parks and like the whole thing and not have to at all Google myself into a depression.
Don't Google yourself into a depression.
Don't do it.
Cautionary tale. Okay, so when you have kids and you go on vacation, this is revealing a lot about myself, right? Like, I set myself up for disappointment because my expectations are so high. You know, because you plan for a vacation, it's so much time, and you're thinking, what kinds of conversations are we going to have in the car?
Right.
What kind of special moments are we going to have on those hikes in South Dakota? You know, when we're unpacking and we're stopping for lunch, or those are going to be the magical moments that define my children's childhood and how they see themselves and our family and our relationships. You can see where I'm going with this, right? Like, it does set up expectations, but I don't know how to not have expectations of magical moments on my vacations with kids. What's your attitude about that?
For me, I did not go on family vacations when I was a kid. I mean, we had like 1 or 2 total, I think, with our whole family because there were 6 kids and it was like the 80s, you know, I mean, I don't know. We just didn't do full family vacations. It was expensive, whatever. So for me, just having a family vacation is a really big deal.
Yeah.
So like for me, that's the magic, right? And I mean, like, and I don't feel like my expectations are necessarily low. It's just that I'm like, this is it. We're doing it. We're doing a vacation. So I mean, like, maybe just like take a step back and realize that even just going somewhere together and spending time together, which I think is the whole point, right?
Right.
I think that's the important thing. I mean, and you know, never in any life situation where you're envisioning, you know, like having these conversations or, you know, like those never work out. So maybe just hope they happen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the magical moments always
Yeah.
end up coming when you're like driving someone to like Taekwondo or something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're not happening 10 hours in like Nephi when you're bounding that corner and you're almost home free. They're not rural in that moment.
Town.
So like, yeah, let's go in with like really being realistic. Like Nephi's not the point where it's going to happen.
So that's when the screaming kicks in.
Taekwondo.
You see the sagebrush, just
You're
like,
we are almost there. Please,
we
everyone,
break down right now.
eat a sandwich.
No, I just remember when my kids were really little, it was really important for my husband. He was like, we are going to go on a family vacation every year. And I'm kind of like you, Morag. I was like, every year? Yeah, that seems excessive. Because, I mean, we grew up going to see family, but like going on a vacation, like I went to Disneyland one time in my childhood, which I thought was totally appropriate.
Right.
But then it seems like, I don't know, maybe I'm on social media too much. It's like everybody goes to Disneyland twice a year or whatever. And I just think, how can you afford that? And what about the time and the stress? And I don't know. I think that there's something to say that every family sort of has their own sort of traditions and does what's best for them, right? And certainly don't go into debt to, you know, keep up with the Joneses or anything like that. But one thing that my late husband taught me, though, was it doesn't matter where we go. Like, we ended up saying, oh, yeah, well, sometimes we'll do staycations every other year because we, you know, never had a ton of money. And so it would be like discovering different parts of Utah where we live or, you know, or driving and doing it sort of on a budget and then doing the big vacations, you know, every few years or whatever.
Yeah, when you've had time to save up. I mean, that's definitely 100% been our experience. Every spring break, it'd be like, we are going to swim in the pool at the rec center.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And our
make it
friends are going
fun.
to, yeah. And we live in a kind of a more wealthy neighborhood, but we live with my parents. So it's like definitely not we're living anyone else's situation. We are living our own situation. But yeah, finding like manageable experiences. Like South Dakota ended up being good for the one reason that like the way we were going, gas prices were cheaper. Like everyone else is going to Disneyland with like $8, you know, gallon gas, and we're like $3.50. We're winning, you know. So just things like that.
Do you think that the whole point of doing family vacations is just to, you know, to give your kids memories, or is there like, I don't know, is there kind of a deeper meaning or opportunity there?
Well, I'm going back to the road trip because I feel like that's where the memories are made. We've gone to Disneyland a few times because we have a friend that works there who could get us in for free.
Nice.
So, I mean, you got to make a friend like that.
Yeah. First of all, recheck your friends.
Yeah. But like I think of my family growing up and the road trips we'd go on. We wrote a screenplay one year. And I still remember the plot points. I'm like, well, now that my husband works in film, maybe this movie can be made.
I think we're making a movie.
I've got some friends that work with Hallmark a lot. Maybe they can do it. But I think it doesn't have to be pricey. It doesn't have to be extravagant. They might complain that you're only going to visit family, but they have so much fun when they're there. Mm-hmm. They do have fun in the car. I told my kids we were going to learn how to beatbox on our drive to Arizona. We didn't, but my son was like, okay, let's do it. So now I need to learn how to do it for our next road trip to teach my kids.
That is such a great out-of-the-box idea. I told my kids because they were like, what did you do on those long road trips through Nebraska and Wyoming when you didn't have like a DVD player, you didn't have a Nintendo Switch. Like they look at me like I was so disadvantaged. And I was like, we played the license plate game.
Yes, always.
We always got the semi trucks to honk their horn. You know, we talked about what we were going to, like what treat we were going to get at the next gas station. Because when we were on vacation, we could go into the gas station and get whatever we wanted. And that never happened. Mm-hmm. So we'd be like, I don't know. I mean, should I get a Reese's or should I go with licorice? And we would just talk about it, like dumb stuff. And I mean, how many decades ago was that? And I still remember it. You're right. Like it has a connection, I think, to my siblings that I sort of underestimated.
Yeah, I was thinking back about why do we as adults want to take a vacation? Like the idea of a vacation is to break down from where your norm is, to break out of that schedule, to have some rest and relaxation. Like maybe if you're implementing that instead of trying to build their core memories, right? You know what I mean?
It's a lot of pressure.
Be a core building memory that we will all have together. And instead it's we want to break the routine. We want to see each other in different places, experience different things together and have that be kind of your motivation behind it. Maybe that would help a little.
Good point.
Well, I think really any experience you can have where you can take your kids out of their comfort zone. Because, I think that more than ever, kids nowadays are at home, on screens. They kind of have Uber routines that they're comfortable with. So, I kind of feel like that's a lot of what a vacation is about. And again, even if it's just overnight in Salt Lake City or, because we did that recently and it was fantastic, and it doesn't have to be anything big. But I think just being purposeful with what you're doing and, getting them outside of what their norm is and giving them new experiences, I guess, even if it's just hiking, it doesn't have to even cost money.
How do you do that when you have kids of different ages?
Ooh.
And everybody kind of wants to do something different or eat somewhere different. No one can agree. How do you guys sort of resolve that? Because I feel like a lot of friction happens, in those places that maybe we could avoid a little bit and make it a little bit more fun.
We always take a democratic vote.
Really?
Yeah, my husband has taught all politics to our children through decision making. If we go to a dinner, he's like, all right, are we a dictatorship, a republic, or a democracy?
Oh my gosh.
Really? Democracy. So he teaches them and then they'll choose. We're a dictatorship. Dad goes, all right, we're going to Chick-fil-A. Yeah, he gets to choose. He's the one that goes that way. So we do that a lot on trips. We just have too many kids. It's good for them to understand that they have to manage their own expectations. Manage your expectations. We're all here. There's also money limits to what we have. And those are okay things for them to learn. I want them to understand money limits and not everything's going to look the way you want it to look. How does it look for somebody else? What does that matter for you? Does it matter that they got their way today and you get your way next time? Those are, I think, probably part of the core memories we actually want them to learn, right? While on their family vacation. So that's how we do it. Fully diplomatically. Through political science.
I like it. Okay.
That's good. For me, I feel like it's a lot easier just with two. It really is. I have an advantage. With vacations too, because, you don't need a big van. You don't, lots of times we can piggyback with my parents-in-law and we can all go together. So it's a lot cheaper. So I know that most people have more than two children, at least around here. But yeah, I feel like if anything, it's my husband and I who have to compromise and do what the kids want to do, which I'm okay with, Because, they really like noodles. So generally, if we're going to go out to eat, it's going to be noodles.
That's funny. At least you know that. You can set up your expectation. I think it's impossible to parent without like thinking about how you were parented too. So whenever I think about what I want for a vacation, and I want to pause here. I say vacation, and sometimes maybe that's not the right word. Maybe it's a trip or an experience. Because I think sometimes we have that expectation that vacation means rest and relaxation. And especially when kids are little, it seems like a lot more work. And different phases seem like a little bit more work. But going back to the original thought, this idea, I think, comes from our own experience, right? And whether we want to change it or whether we want to duplicate it, right? From what we had as kids. So what was the most fun or memorable or meaningful vacation that you guys had that you always kind of come back to?
Like as kids or?
Yeah. Or adults, really, I guess.
As a kid, it was for real. I loved road trips, and I still love them as a parent, even though it can be stressful. That's where there's just nothing but each other. And I love everyone in my family. Like, I love that we got so much time together. And we went to Hawaii. We went to Disneyland. We went to cool places, but the car trips were my favorite when I look back on it. And that's what I try the hardest to duplicate for my children. And I will even say, on this most recent trip, I was driving without my husband, and I decided we're not doing screens at all. And it was my most successful car trip yet.
What happened?
Well, everyone just visited.
Where'd you go?
Arizona.
Okay.
And so...
How long was the drive then?
It's like 10 hours. So, you get about 4 or 5 of them sleeping when you leave at 4 a.m. But yeah, I brought crayons and paper, and everyone just had a good time, and it was so great. And we listened to music.
Oh, that's great.
But that's like, I'm trying to recreate what I had and what I loved. Whether they are going to go on and love it as adults when they look back on it, I don't know. But that's what worked for me, so I'm doing it for them.
That's so cool.
It's a great, you actually are breaking their actual routine then too. Because they're in screens all the time. Like, we rarely see their faces. So that's awesome. I'm thinking about my childhood. We didn't vacation a lot either. We did reunions and Thanksgiving. That was what it was. And then my dad, one year, his boss was like, I'm giving you this bonus, but you have to use it for a family vacation.
Oh, fun.
You can't do anything else with it. So that was probably
that's cool.
The first big one. We went to Florida and we all went to Disney World. And I was 14, 15. So that was pretty epic to experience that with them. And I saw my dad be more calm, maybe because it wasn't a financial stress for him at that point to do it. So that was a pretty exciting vacation. As far as how they vacation, gosh, I wish I could do a little bit better job. My parents definitely, it was stressful. So a lot of vacations felt like we're always on someone's being annoying, someone's screaming, there's too much yelling, something's happening, we're poking your brother, stop poking your brother, And luckily we're all strapped in seatbelts these days.
Right.
We used to directly on top of each other. Yeah.
Put the seats down.
Everybody.
The rules were a little different back then.
Yeah. So definitely trying to man that and make sure that that's not the exact same experience has been an important goal for us. I don't know that we're definitely not perfect at it, but we've had some good ones. We've had some really good road trips that were beneficial to us.
It's true, though. Anything out of the box, anything out of their ordinary, their routine, your brain does remember it. And I think that there is meaning in that. Yeah. There's something to pay attention to there. I remember our big vacation, our family vacation. We flew to Washington, D.C. to see our aunt who worked at the White House and took a tour and everything. And then we flew to Florida to go to Disney World. And my mom made us all matching camp shirts of the same material but different colors. Mine was teal. And I was 12, so I was like, this is kind of embarrassing. I kind of hate it, but I kind of like it. 1 foot in childhood, 1 foot, And my oldest brother, who was 14, was like, yeah, that was the worst. And I just remember my dad speaking Spanish to everybody. And when we went to Epcot Center, and he would want to now I speak Portuguese, too.
I love your dad
And
so
now
much.
we're in France, and I speak French. And we were all like, oh my gosh, he would just talk to anybody. And guess who is that parent who talks to strangers in front of their kids really loudly all the time? That would be me.
That would be me too.
Even though I know how it feels to be the kid who's like, stop. I look at my kids and I go, I can't help myself. I just want to have a conversation with everyone. I'm sorry.
You're not alone, Lisa.
I do the same thing.
But funny memories, though, right?
that.
Like of remember when
We wore teal matching shirts.
and you had pink and you had black, and, and that out of the ordinary. But most of them are just the fun and meaningful, just time together, like in the car.
Yeah, the opportunity to like be creative, like your mom did that. I was like listening to a podcast, and this mom was talking about how she was like hating that she had to make dinner, and there was she had a rotisserie chicken. She's like, okay, this is like the most I can muster. So she put the rotisserie chicken in a bush, and she made her kids shoot arrows. People shoot arrows into the bush, and then they killed the chicken, and then they were able to eat that night. But everyone ate with their hands, and like barbarians. And like, imagine if like that energy, and we're not all gonna be like this. So not my vibe, but. Like the creativity makes it maybe just take some of that pressure off, and then the memory is still there. Like putting like individual shirts and like putting that little touches. Yeah. Take yourself out of like does everyone have their socks? Like, guess what? I went to Walmart and bought socks on this last trip because he didn't pack his socks. Like,
it's gonna happen.
Take that pressure off and like look for the moments that you can create things that are just so fun and interesting, and then they're almost a practical joke on your kids. You're hunting for your dinner tonight. What? Well, on vacation.
They would never forget that.
Can you imagine?
They would never forget that.
Getting a lot of good ideas here.
I mean, here's the thing, though. You can complain about it, or you can do something about it.
Right.
Like if you're like, yeah, this is boring, or they're on their screens too much, And he's like, yeah,
We're beatboxing.
threw him off. We're beatboxing.
Yeah.
Like,
serious.
That's got to be, we've got to show our kids the benefits of being adults. You're in charge. This is a great idea. This is a great reason to want to be an adult. And,
because there's a lot
it's
of
fun
not fun.
too.
There's a lot
Exactly.
of not fun things. Well, you know what you can do? Eat chicken like barbarians. Beatbox when you want.
You can beatbox wherever you want.
Whenever, wherever. You get to talk Spanish to people, even if you don't know Spanish.
Super loudly to strangers when you want.
And embarrass everybody, except yourself.
Oh, being a mom's the best.
I love that, though. I love that idea of, like, embracing adulthood because, especially our kids have, I think, way less responsibilities than we have now. Mm-hmm. And, like, can you imagine having to go from that carefree of a life to, like, adulthood? I'm like, I don't want to. Take me kicking and screaming. I'm not into it. So, like, I love that idea of, like, it can be fun. There's really great things about it.
And a vacation is the perfect setting to be able to, like, just show them a world of possibility.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Totally out of the routine. Totally, like, new environment. Even a new mom. What if, like, vacation mom's great? I love vacation mom.
She's so relaxed. She still drinks a lot of Diet Dr. Pepper.
Always. It's inevitable.
The Lisa Show is a production of BYU Radio. This week, our show was produced by Lisa Valentine Clark. That's me, Richie T. Stedman, and McKay Menden, with help from Maggie Faulkner and Alex Tumalip. With music and sound design help by Katie Johnson and Sam Clausen. Also, you can find more travel tips from Lori Zaino at Lori_Zaino on Instagram. We would love to hear your feedback about the show. You can reach us on our Instagram or Facebook, or email us at thelisashow@byu.edu. Next week on the show, we're going to find out what it really means to get to know someone better.
Nothing is more frustrating to me, though, is someone who won't answer my questions or open up. Even as an introvert, I have to hold back. If I meet someone like at a party or if I'm getting to know someone, I want to sit down and like intensely look into their eyes and just ask them everything.
I know, me too.
What happened? What was this? How did this happen?
Yeah.
Why?
Why are you like this?
Why are you like this?
Do you want to know why I'm like this? That's next week on The Lisa Show.